You are listening to the Keeping It Juicy podcast.
Your main squeeze in nutrition.
Don't forget to subscribe so you can join us every Tuesday for a brand new episode.
Also, don't forget to add us on Instagram and Facebook at Keeping It Juicy Podcast. Welcome to episode 59, guys. We're going to be talking all about Herbalife. Just kidding, not Herbalife. We'll probably talk about that in another episode, which I feel like I'm on a great roll of just talking about every single diet company out there.
Right. This wasn't necessarily like intentional for us to do like 2 back-to-back episodes on.
But bucket.
Last week was Weight Watchers and their rebranding, and this week we're going to be talking about Jenny Craig, and they actually are going through a little bit of a transition within their diet program themselves. So that's what we're going to be talking about today.
So before we go into that, let's go into our new nutrition in the news, which this specific article is kind of off the wall because it's something you don't really think about, and I just happened to find it. So basically the name of the article is How Can We Reduce Our Exposure to Potentially Harmful Aluminum? Which, I mean, how often do you guys think about aluminum in our diet or in our lives? I don't.
It's not very common.
No.
I will say though, like when we were grilling a lot in the summer, I thought about it and I did like a little bit of research on it. I'm like, fuck this. Like, I don't need to worry about this.
Right.
So it's not a very common concern by the general public, I would say.
Right. And personally myself, I use aluminum foil quite frequently, especially when I bake products. But back to this article, it talks about a new report that was carried out by German officials, so way over there on the other side of the pond. They basically suggest that even though exposure to dangerous aluminum compounds in foods have been decreasing, we are apparently still ingesting more of the substance than those experts deem safe. So this regular exposure occurs because aluminum is present in many of those products that we prepare our food with. That includes, actually not even just food, it includes cosmetics, baking tools, and of course our aluminum foil that we do have at home. So basically, they looked at a bunch of reports and then looked at another study, and they found that the average weekly diet-related aluminum, say that 5 times fast, exposure for an adult was 50% of the tolerable weekly intake set by the European Food Safety Authority. So basically, that's 1 milligram per kilogram of body weight per week. So this is what the researchers say is a lower quantity than what was indicated by previous studies. However, they still warn that the aluminum intake remains at a potentially harmful level across all age groups. And of course, it's primarily due to cosmetics, which even I myself do that as well. And in food packaging, which again, I do that as well. And tools that contain uncoated aluminum. And previous studies have indicated that there has been a link between frequent exposure to high levels of aluminum to neurotoxicity, including adverse health effects on the central or peripheral nervous system, or both, in Alzheimer's disease and breast cancer. But despite this, it still remains unclear about how unsafe these aluminum compounds are, whether they actually do contain harmful substances and under what circumstances. I mean, right now it's at a strong link, but I just thought this was interesting because it's something that we don't really think about, and I use it on a daily basis. So
yeah, it's definitely not something that I think we, look at a product and like, I wonder if this could have aluminum or it's going to be contaminated or something like that. So it's definitely not the first thing that kind of pops into our mind. And it's interesting that they say, this study was done in Europe, might be a little bit different here in the US. My guess is that it's worse here.
Especially with all the barbecuing. But there's another thing that we don't think about, which is not necessarily nutrition related, but aluminum containing deodorants, which I don't use because I'm allergic to aluminum in deodorants, but there's been some sort of link to I guess more health concerns with deodorants that are that do contain aluminum. I mean, why else are they coming out with aluminum-free deodorants and natural deodorants? Which, FYI, some of those suck ass. But um,
I've
just
never tried any, but I've never had issues with regular ones either.
yeah, I know. Dove came out with aluminum-free
Hmm.
deodorant,
Why does it
which
need to have aluminum anyways?
I assume to make sure you don't smell like ass. I don't know. Don't quote us on this. We are nutrition experts. But
Not
anyway,
biochemists.
no, or
Anyways,
cosmetics.
let us know what you think about aluminums being in foods. If you have any other like information that you think we could even benefit from, let us
Right,
know.
absolutely.
So we will move on to the bulk of our episode, which is the new version of Jenny Craig.
I was
But
about to
before
say,
that,
not that new.
no, I mean, Jenny Craig's been around for a really long time, but they've added some stuff to their programs now. But
Hmm.
first and foremost, what is Jenny Craig? If you're not familiar, I'm not sure whoever listens to us wouldn't know. But, anyways, if you don't know, Jenny
Right.
Craig is a diet program that provides structure and support for people who want to lose weight and keep it off. This is from their website. So
Hmm.
that's their statement.
Hmm.
The program does deliver prepackaged, low calorie meals and offers one on one support from a consultant. The goal is to remove the guesswork about what to eat, therefore, making weight loss simple. So many commercial diets kind of follow this,
Hmm.
general statement. It has some sort of one on one or group counseling paired with a product, paired with a meal plan of some sort.
I mean, let's be honest, a lot of these diets don't really have that one-on-one consultant and group counseling, so they got that going for them.
Right, right. Some of them have, better support systems, I would say, but the
Hmm.
main principle is that it's a food product paired with a program, paired with like someone to guide you through it,
Hmm.
whether it's group, a Facebook group, a one-on-one counselor or coach or whatever it is. Like the Weight Watchers has the app now, or you can go to a facility and do the group sessions there. And I think they even have a one-on-one coach as well.
Right.
Anyways, that's kind of the main idea of Jenny Craig. It's just another one of these commercial weight loss programs. I will say though, like I was checking out the food and yeah, number one, like gross. And number two, like there was this meal. It was like an egg frittata or something with like vegetables or like red bell pepper, green bell pepper, and you like microwave it, right? It had no fiber, like absolutely no fiber. It said 0 grams of fiber. How is that possible?
Don't worry about that. Just worry about the calories.
Like, beside the point of the structured program, like the food itself, like if I made that myself with actual eggs, actual vegetables, it would have fiber. So
I don't
bothers
know.
me.
I know it's also due to a lack of education, among other million things. But let's talk about what have they actually added since their older program. So it still appears to, I mean, like we talked about, they still have the prepackaged foods, but now it seems that they can help identify the best plan based off of your DNA via rapid results. Which is, Rapid Results is actually a DNA testing company, kind of like Ancestry.com, but instead of heritage, it's for your food choices and your health predispositions. The DNA testing kit seems to be around $100, which, fun fact, if you get 23andMe on their sale, you can probably get their health predisposition for a cheaper price. Basically, the DNA testing kit itself is seems to be around $100, but you get it for free if you are able to stick around for the 60 days. Also, the cost of food seems to be 170 a week, which is holy shit. You would spend less at a grocery store.
So much less. Hey, but you get the kit for free.
Shut up. You don't need to sell to me right now.
Like, it's ridiculous. Like, that is so much on food.
But
And
I think they market it towards people that like literally don't want to think about anything that goes in their
yes,
mouth.
yes. And there is clearly a market for that because
Hmm.
otherwise, how would these programs continue to be so big? So,
The
we're
more
going
you
to
know.
get into the pros and cons of our opinion on what we think about Jenny Craig incorporating this.
Our opinion.
Our opinion, exactly. But before we do that, we do want to touch briefly on what nutritional genomics is and what the whole idea of like eating for your genes is as well. So,
Hmm.
nutritional genomics is defined most broadly by the interaction of dietary exposures with the genome, the human genome. And the genome is a collection of all of your genes, the ones that are on and the ones that are off. So, all of them.
Hmm.
This is interesting. All human beings are made of 99.9% of the same genes. So we're 99.9% identical.
We are same.
Same, little different. So specifically, we are 0.1% different. And this 0.1% holds clues about what causes certain diseases. You know, why some people are genetically predisposed for something and some others are not. It's that 0.1%.
Right. 0.1%. That's how much you're going to get in genome variations. And with that being said, the environment and foods that we are exposed to can trigger some genes to be expressed or not. And the basic concept is eating foods that are right or better for your specific DNA. Some of us process different foods better or worse and have gene variants that might make us more susceptible to weight gain. And if we like referred to a previous episode, that weight gain, you can't attribute a lot of that to genetic variation. So briefly, we'll be bringing up the SMP shortly. So what is an SMP? That is a single nucleotide polymorphism, and it's a substitution of a single nucleotide that occurs at a specific position in your genome, where each variation is present at a level of more than 1% in the population.
Now that we've kind of got the basics of nutritional genomics covered, I actually have taken two of these before.
Not
Uh,
one, two.
two. And I'm bringing that up because it's my same genome, but two different companies did their interpretation of my best diet for me. And we're going to talk about that right now. So I did Genoplate and I also did VitaGene. So I already had my raw DNA from Ancestry when I did that way back. So you just send your raw DNA file to these like other companies and they like read it for you and give you a report.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go into Genoplate first. So Genoplate recommended me to be on a high carb diet with 57 to 64% of my daily calories coming from carbs. It recommended me to be on a relatively low fat diet with 24 to 31% of my calories coming from fat, and recommended me to be on a relatively high protein diet, which is anywhere from 19 to 24% of my calories. So cool. It also recommended me to eat a diet higher in vitamin D, which I found really interesting because I've been very borderline, like vitamin D deficient for like 2 years. I take my supplement, I eat my vitamin D foods, and I've still been borderline. I live in San Diego, I get my sunshine, I don't over sunscreen. So I found it interesting that there's some SNP that says I need more vitamin D. So
Right.
interesting. It then gave me a list of foods that would pair nicely with the specific genes that I have. For example, it recommended like the best vegetables I should eat are artichoke, winter squash, red bell pepper, soybean sprouts, okra, banana peppers, and serrano peppers.
Hmm.
If anyone knows me, you know, like I will cry if I eat something spicy.
She will. I've seen it.
So it's very unfortunate that like two out of the, what is it? One, two, three, four, five, six. Two out of the seven best vegetables for my genes are peppers.
Suck it up, Buttercup.
So we'll move on. The best meats for me are chicken liver, veal, top round steak, bottom round steak, chicken wing, eye of round, beef, ground chicken, and lean ground beef. Why does it have to be ground chicken? That's what I want to know.
Why is it just beef and chicken?
I don't know.
What about deer? What about antelope? Okay.
Um, so basically, like you get the idea. It gave me the best options for about 10 different categories of food. Other categories were things like bread, nuts, seeds, seafood, milk, cheeses, yogurts. We are obviously not going to go into all of them. I know you guys don't care that much, but you get the idea. Then you can pay extra for like a meal plan, and that report costs like $20 to $30 more. So pretty interesting, but now we're going to kind of go back to Vitagene and compare. Again, it was the same raw DNA file. Vitagene said that I'm a slow carb metabolizer, which it recommends me being on a lower carb diet. They told me that this trait of mine is 30% related to genes and 60% related to lifestyle. So I do like that they broke it down into like how much of it is affected by you and what you choose to do. And then it also tells you which specific SNP is responsible for this trait. So if you want to look up the SNP that is related to carb metabolism, it is RS340874. And I have a gene variant TC. It recommended that I am more likely to benefit from a low carb diet, but still rich in complex carbs, low in simple sugars, and high in low GI foods. Personally, I can say I do feel better when I eat this way, but I also don't know many people who feel like rock stars on a high GI diet and simple sugar diet either.
Speak
So,
for yourself.
so that was interesting. The next one that I want to go into, I think, is the most interesting, and a lot of people go towards, oh, my genes are why it's hard for me to lose weight. So, according to Vitagene, people with my genetic makeup are more likely to be overweight. Yeah, I was shocked at this too. And this trait is 50% related to genes and 50% related to lifestyle, although I
I feel
100%
like
argue that.
I feel
Um,
like there's missing out on a couple of extra things that affect that. But all
oh,
right.
of course, yeah. And that's also part of the problem with nutritional genomics right now, and we'll get into that later too. So Vitagene will give you a list of all of the SNPs related to them coming to this conclusion. And I kid you not, there are hundreds. And they source each one, like the scientific study that found that this SNP is related to someone being predisposed to gaining weight. We're going to list all the sources that they provided me. So if you guys want to check them out, go for it. But the two strongest researched are SNP RS 2030-323 and RS 633715. If you really need to know, those SNPs are mostly related to um, being genetically predisposed to weight gain. And apparently I have that.
I can tell.
you. Um, it also gave me like exercise and fitness traits such as I'm built or better for power and endurance exercise. Exercise has a decreased chance of improving my blood pressure, which makes no sense because I have insanely low heart rate and blood pressure. Sometimes I think I'm dead. It also said that I'm a very slow muscle builder, which I think I agree with. Like, I work really hard and barely see changes sometimes.
Now we got that mature muscle going on.
What?
The mature muscle
Oh.
compared to our beginner muscles.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
So apparently I will build muscle slower. It also said based on my genes, I have an increased likelihood to get more sore from exercise. Good to know. And also, according to my genes, my body responds well to exercise, meaning exercise will help me lose body fat. I don't think I needed my genes to tell me that.
That's funny. Cause actually, actually when I did my 23andMe, they were telling me that I had the muscle composition of an elite athlete, whatever that means.
Well, you have always had a lot of muscle.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, but I didn't always have muscle. I started lifting weights when I was
Right,
16. So
right.
that's another contributor into
That plays a
everything.
huge factor.
Mhm.
But, let's just say there's another, 16-year-old that started lifting the exact same time as you and did the same workouts as you for all these years. They will be completely different than you. And that's just
But we're 99.9% the same.
very true. Very true. So there's a lot of factors. Going back to the VitaGene report, once you have all this information, you can tell them a little bit about your goals, diet preferences, like do you like chicken? Do you like beef? Do you want to be vegan? Whatever. And
Right.
then a little bit more information. And then they actually give you like a 7-day diet plan and exercise plan. I think I paid like $40 for this, and I really enjoyed like reading it and stuff just because I like this stuff. But I paid $40 and I didn't have to buy any pre-packaged crap from Jenny Craig to
Oh,
get.
Jenny.
Mhm. Yeah. I also took a DNA personality test, but we don't need to talk about that.
No, we really don't.
I don't need my genes to tell me my personality. I already know what's going on.
Miss Anxiety.
No.
So, should commercial diets incorporate this kind of nutrigenomics thing? No. I mean, I'm sure you'll agree with me too. Just because nutrigenomics is in itself, it's still a new field. I mean, nutrition is an ever-growing field in the first place. To add nutrigenomics on top of that, which not a lot of schools even have a major for, is absolutely stupid, in my opinion. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, like, granted, like, people are trying to find every single way to, like, I guess, better their health, but the bottom line is you still, like, if you include this idea of nutrition genomics, you're still excluding a huge part of the population that does not have access to this. So I feel like the world has bigger issues than just including these commercial diets and the genomics that go with it, in my
Mm-hmm.
opinion.
Yeah. So, my opinion, should commercial diets incorporate this? Absolutely not. The whole concept of Jenny Craig, like we mentioned in the beginning, is to use their food products, their meals, in conjunction with some whole foods to create structure, which fine, so be it. That's their game. But my problem lies with making it okay to eat processed foods if it happens to work with your genes. So I guess like my main confusion with this is I don't understand how a commercial diet that creates a product can cater to genes when there are a lot of different of those SNPs, as I mentioned with information I had, how can they change the product formulation for everyone on the program specific for their genes? The whole purpose of a commercial diet is for it to be simple and have, this food is made for you. You worry about, this part. So how, I just don't get how they're going to make it work.
I I don't know. I
I don't
mean,
get it.
there's still people that do this. I mean, granted, Jenny Craig isn't as popular as it used to be because everyone used to be talking about it a lot, versus now not as many people are talking about it. So
Mhm.
that's perhaps one of the reasons why they introduced this whole nutrigenomics concept into it, so more
Right.
people can look that way.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know, I don't understand how it is going to actually work. The marketing is great. Like the
Hmm.
marketing is very like on point with the times because
Right.
I did a couple of these genetic tests myself. Like it is the new thing. So
Hmm.
they're very up to date with, the new thing, which leads us to the next question. Is eating for your genes the new trend? Um,
I
it
mean,
appears to be.
yeah, it appears to be, but I mean, like I've talked about before, it's still fucking new.
It's so new.
I mean, and a lot of the genetic tests aren't even accurate. Like you just said it yourself, both of them gave you conflicting reports.
Very conflicting. I would say the only thing that was the same, and I didn't mention it here, was that I'm a slow caffeine metabolizer and a slow alcohol metabolizer.
Explains a lot. Just kidding.
Maybe. I mean, I have caffeine like every day.
Hmm.
I think I would die without it. But
Whoa, a little dramatic.
but those are the only two factors that the two different companies that I used kind of agreed upon.
Hmm.
One said I would benefit from a lower fat diet, and one said I would benefit from a moderate to low fat diet. I'm sorry, one said I would benefit from like a higher fat diet, one said I would benefit from a lower to moderate fat diet. But I just have to go back to what I feel best on.
Yeah,
And
also it depends on the type of fat that you
oh,
eat in the first
100%.
place.
Mhm. Mhm. So, yes, it does appear that eating for your genes is the new trend, but the research is growing, but it's
Hmm.
really not there. Actually, when we had finished our bachelor's, what I really wanted to do was to get my master's in
Hmm.
nutritional genomics, and there was literally only two schools that offered it,
Hmm.
um, UCLA and one in Florida. And I just
UCLA is so hard to get into, but
didn't even try.
I tried.
Yeah, if you can't get in, I can't get in.
They don't give two fucks about me. But
Yeah,
um
there's no way I was getting in. Like,
I mean, those are like the top notch schools. Which doesn't mean we're not smart or anything. We're just unique. Anyways, moving on. So how can we keep the concept of eating for your genes evidence based and not the next fad? I mean, you got to remind yourself that all humans share 99.9% of the same DNA.
mhm,
And it's only that 0.1%. And it's also important to note that, like we said, nutritional genomics is a new field. And maybe it's time to kind of take it back, make it a little bit more simple before you start getting complicated, because that's where you get yourself into trouble. That's why everybody gets themselves into trouble,
yeah.
because instead of going back to the basics, everyone's going turning towards all these fad diets and
Like
accident
literally the most complicated thing you can do.
right, instead of going back to the basics and saying, oh, I'll just have an apple instead of french fries.
Yeah. Versus asking yourself, for my genes, what would be better? Like, no, deep down we know that unprocessed foods, more fruits and vegetables are the way to go. And
Hmm.
keep it simple. There are so many like just
Kiss.
weird
Hmm.
eating patterns and trends and stuff. Like keep it simple first.
remember this acronym, KISS. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah,
Okay?
pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah,
This is
nutritional
stupid.
genomics is very complicated, like
Mm-hmm.
extremely complicated. And we're not, we're not gonna actually know for a long time, I feel. Like,
Mm-hmm.
research takes a long, long time, and the human genome is huge.
Like, the
Huge.
human body itself is more complicated than anything
Like,
else
we can't
ever will be.
comprehend it.
No. Like, you see it all the time in hospitals. What works for one person is not, for sure as shit, not going to work for the next person.
Yeah.
So, like, the same diet for each person isn't going to work either. No.
Yeah.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. Keep it super simple. And I
Yeah.
mean, the gut microbiome even plays a huge role in that. And you are not just your genes, you're also your bacteria's genes too. So that's another, layer to all of this.
Okay, let's keep it simple because that's.
It gets crazy. It gets really complicated.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no freaking way that this $40 test or $100 test is going to poof give you all the answers you need. It's interesting. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I loved reading all of my reports and stuff like that. But am I going to change everything I eat because of it and start eating like serrano peppers because the diet PDF told me to? No. If I don't like them, I don't like them.
It's like if I'm FaceTiming and you just like start crying.
Yeah, we hope you enjoyed this episode. Let us know your thoughts on Jenny Craig introducing nutritional genomics. We will close out with our social media shout out of the week. It goes to dietitian Megan, not quite sure. I hope I didn't butcher it too much. But she has really tasty food pics. If you guys don't notice the trend by now, we love food pics.
Tasty food pics.
Tasty food pics. She's also a dietitian and promotes just an overall good, active, and healthy lifestyle. So thank you for your support. We do see it.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Yep. So we will catch you guys in the next one. Bye. Say bye.
Okay, bye.
Thanks for listening to the Keeping It Juicy podcast.
Your main squeeze in nutrition.
Don't forget to subscribe so you can join us every Tuesday for a brand new episode.
Also, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at Keeping It Juicy Podcast.
We'd love to hear from you, so please leave us a review.
5 stars, no less.
On whatever platform you're listening to, or send us an email at keepingitjuicypodcast@gmail.com.
Or if you have any topics you'd like for us to touch upon, shoot us an email. Until next time, don't do anything that I wouldn't do. What the fuck are you doing? That was so terrible. You make that face while you sneeze? I didn't. I mean, me and Christian, we were trying to do date night, and we went to eat, and then we hurried up and went to the movie theater to watch Bad Boys. But turns out we went to the wrong movie theater. So we came back home and watched Peaky Blinders.